When you were 7 years old, a single summer felt endless. 3 months stretched out in front of you like a continent you could never fully cross. A week before your birthday felt like waiting for something that might never arrive. Time was slow, thick, and enormous. You lived inside it rather than watching it pass. You are older now, and the last 5 years feel like they took about 18 months. The last decade feels like something that happened recently. Entire years are collapsing into a single blurred memory that you cannot clearly separate from the year before it or the year after it. And the speed keeps increasing. Every year feels shorter than the last one. Not slightly, noticeably. This is not nostalgia. This is not you misremembering childhood. This is a documented, measurable, neurological phenomenon with a specific mechanism that researchers have spent decades trying to fully explain. And the explanation, when you understand it, is one of the most unsettling things neuroscience has produced. The first and most widely accepted explanation is called the proportional theory of time. It was proposed by philosopher Paul Janet in 1877. The core idea is simple. When you are 10 years old, 1 year represents 10% of your entire lived experience. It is a significant portion of everything you have ever known. When you are 40, 1 year represents 2.5% of your total life. It is a fraction. The same absolute duration, 365 days, feels subjectively shorter because it is proportionally smaller relative to everything you have already lived. Each year becomes a smaller and smaller piece of a longer and longer story. But proportional theory alone does not fully explain the phenomenon, because the acceleration is not steady and gradual. It has specific patterns. Summers in childhood feel much longer than winters. Busy periods feel shorter than quiet ones. Vacations feel longer at the beginning and shorter at the end. And old age does not always feel uniformly fast. There are pockets of slowness inside it. The theory tells you why the ratio changes. It does not tell you the full mechanism behind the feeling. The deeper explanation comes from neuroscience. And it starts with a simple question. How does your brain actually measure time? Not with a clock. Not with any dedicated time-keeping organ. The brain measures time by counting the number of new memories it encodes during a period. A stretch of time that produces many distinct memories feels long in retrospect. A stretch of time that produces few distinct memories feels short. Think about the last time you were somewhere completely new. A new city, a new country, a first day in a new job. Everything demanded your attention. Every detail was novel. Your brain was encoding information continuously, building new memory traces with every hour that passed. When you look back on that trip, even if it was only a week, it feels like it lasted longer than it actually did. Your brain has more material to play back, more distinct memories to scroll through. It feels full. Now think about a Tuesday from 6 weeks ago. You probably cannot remember it at all. Not because nothing happened, because nothing was new enough to encode distinctly. You drove the same route. You sat in the same chair. You ate something similar to what you always eat. Your brain recognized the pattern, flagged it as familiar, and allocated almost no resources to recording it. The day passed. The brain barely noticed. And in retrospect, there is almost nothing there. This is the core mechanism. Novelty drives memory encoding. Memory encoding determines how much subjective time a period contains. And novelty is something that declines systematically as you age. When you are young, almost everything is new. The first time you ride a bicycle. The first time you sleep away from home. The first time you fall in love. The first time you fail at something that mattered to you. Your brain is encountering the world for the first time, continuously, and it is recording all of it. Every year of childhood is dense with first experiences, dense with new information, dense with encoded memories. And so it feels long. As you age, the proportion of new experiences drops sharply. You have already learned to drive. You have already navigated your first job. You have already experienced loss, love, success, failure. The basic architecture of life has been built. What remains is mostly repetition of patterns your brain already knows. And the brain, which is fundamentally a prediction machine, stops investing heavily in recording what it has already seen. The familiar gets compressed. The routine gets skipped. And entire weeks can pass without a single moment distinctive enough to anchor itself in memory as its own separate event. Neuroscientist David Eagleman describes this as the difference between time experienced in the present and time reconstructed in memory. In the present moment, time always feels roughly the same regardless of age. But memory is what gives us our sense of how long a period lasted. And memory is thin when experience is repetitive. There is also a biological dimension that most people have never considered. The speed at which the brain processes visual information decreases as you get older. Research published in 2023 suggested that as neural connections slow down and the resolution of information processing declines with age, the brain takes in fewer discrete mental images per unit of real time. In childhood, the brain processes information rapidly, capturing a high-resolution stream of distinct moments. Each second contains more individual frames. In old age, the frame rate drops. Each second contains fewer distinct mental snapshots. And a period containing fewer snapshots, when recalled, feels like it passed more quickly. Think of it like a film. A film shot at high frame rate looks smooth, detailed, full of movement. Each second is rich with information. A film shot at low frame rate looks choppy, compressed, like time was skipping. Your brain in childhood was shooting at a high frame rate. Your brain now is shooting at a lower one. The world moves at the same speed, but the recording captures less of it with every passing year. The remedy, if there is one, is simple to describe and difficult to practice. Do new things. Go to new places. Learn skills that feel uncomfortable. Put yourself in situations where your brain cannot rely on existing patterns and is forced to encode new ones. Not because novelty makes life better in any simple sense, but because the brain measures the length of a life in memories. And memories are made from new things. A life of repetition is a short life, regardless of how many years it contains. A life of new experience is a long one, regardless of when it ends. You cannot slow the clock, but you can fill the time it measures.